Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO in the flow, and welcome to my 5Q interview podcast where we ask our guests 5 questions so you get to understand how every superhero has an origin story and to meet and connect with people that are up to great things in the world as leaders, as artists, as well as incredible human beings. And I am located right now at Embody, Costa Rica. We are a beautiful wellness and retreat center that Himalaya and I run. It's a beautiful photo from our very first tour we did together. And since we were on the road for so many years, guess what? Like, besides us going to other people, how about the people come to us? So this is our yoga shala. This interview is happening underground. It's right underneath this beautiful teak flooring. And if anyone's interested in checking out who I am, in case this is the first time you get to come in contact with who I am DTO, meaning Dave the Organism. I am from the cornfields of Iowa, had an incredible journey moving to California for a couple decades, and now I reside at our Wellness and Retreat Center. And during this podcast, I'd love for you to comment, ask a question, and share. And everyone knows that those algorithms are quite hungry. So if you can just feed them with a simple emoji, that will allow for us to know that we're receiving and giving. And you can comment at any time and we can answer any questions if you happen to be live or on the archive. So today I get to interview the amazing Claraty, and you can see claritymusic.life. And you can see here incredible, beautiful soul that is playing the violin, that has been singing for multiple years and playing music as a passion. And we have a brand new song that recently came out called Better. And I did a reimagined mix streaming on all platforms. So whatever your favorite way to listen to music, add to playlists, sharing is caring. We appreciate all of that. So without further ado, let's bring on Claraty.
Hello, hello.
Nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
So good to see you too. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Well, let's kick it off. Cinco
Let's do
preguntas.
it.
Let's hear your origin story. All right. So share with the audience. When did you first fall in love with music?
So, I have an interesting origin story because I got blessed with two classical musician parents. So, when I was in the womb, my mom was playing viola for Johnny Mathis. And I believe that I fell in love with music in the womb. She was also part of a string quartet that was playing Mozart string quartets. So once I came into the world, I was in a little crib that was to the side of their string quartet rehearsals. And by the time, I don't know how old I was, but one of her favorite stories of me was shortly after getting out of the crib age. I would just be singing all of the different parts from these Mozart string quartets. And I ended up falling in love with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart as my first crush, and I would call him Wolfie. And so he was my first great love and my first great love with music as well.
Well, we have more in common than I anticipated. My mom is a classically trained vocal coach, piano player, and I grew up with musical theater, all different kinds of experiences with, as you said, like we get to hear around 16, 20 weeks in the womb. So as a child, as you were listening to the viola and all of that, I was listening to scales and piano. So
This
we
makes
have
sense.
the origin story is like beyond the beyond, like as we're like percolating in the
I
womb.
always find I have a special connection with others that also are kind of riding a music lineage like that and got it
Mhm.
at a young age.
Yeah, and there's an upright piano in my home. I'm
Mm.
sure you had instruments as well. It's like, all right, this is my toy, let's just start playing around. I love that.
Totally. Yeah. So it's a whole life thing.
Mhm. Beautiful. So that's when you fell in love with music. So let's jump into question 2. So then what happened? Was it an aha moment? Was it a gradual ascension for you to be like, whoa, I can create and write my own compositions and start to, utilize my voice and violin to have Claraty music be out in the world?
Yeah, so um I similar to you was doing like musical theater and choir and little kids string quartets and everything growing up. But that was all reading sheet music and very much like you do the lines or you do the sheet music. And so the first song that I can remember creating was when I was 18, and there's a cute little clip of it, but I was in a very depressed state. And I think it was my first experience of using the piano to help myself transmute hard emotions by writing a song about it. Um, and I remember it really well that day, sitting at the piano and having that. Probably the thing that saved my life in that moment was being able to turn to the piano and write music with it. So that was the first um, song that I wrote, but then I put away music in college for like 4 years until I drank plant medicine in the jungle, and I received a download that I'm supposed to be singing and writing music, and I ended up really starting for the purpose of bringing medicine to healing spaces, and that was about 13, 14 years ago.
Mm. So you took a pause, 4 years. Wow. And how did that feel when you returned back into creation of music?
Yeah, I was a big drinker, drug doer, partier around, teen and college, which is where the pause came from. It was kind of like, and so coming into like sitting in ceremonies and finding music again was also a phase of coming into sobriety and health and conscious
Mm,
awareness of the life that I was living. So it felt great because there was a greater transmutation happening at all levels. And then really finding the music on my own because it was something that was kind of given to me and expected of me in a musical household. And
yeah.
then coming from a classical lineage, it was very regimented and very practiced and very purposeful. So I wasn't finding the fun in it before. But
Mm,
when I came back to it, it was like, this is my soul choosing it. And I found a new life to it where I was actually generating the desire myself.
mm. How lovely. Love that. Full transformation.
Yeah.
And full circle, right? Back to the music.
Mhm.
Round and round.
Spiraling round and round for all of time. Yes.
For sure. We got the circle of fists. We're just like,
Yeah.
love that. All
Mm.
right. Well, of course, the listeners out there that may not be artists that are active, I feel like everyone's an artist because we're here to create art in the ways we are, or be artistic in our expressions of life, whether it's wardrobe, whether it's how you solve problems. Art is everywhere. And so, behind the scenes, let us know what your creative process is like.
There's, I mean, so much I could say about the creative process, and to keep it concise for today, I think the thing I've been thinking about the most recently is how short and streamlined my actual moment of creation is because the creative process is for me all of the preparations of having my house clean, of having my schedule clear, of eating well and getting out the things in the early part of the day before I create that would be taking up parts of my mind, and doing all of the inner and outer preparations to actually open the creative space for myself. And then when I do that in a ritualistic and intentional way, when I actually come to the computer or to my guitar or to whatever it is that I'm starting to create with, it often now comes through really quickly, and it's almost just like an allowing of the channel to streamline through, especially at the point where I got completely fluent with Ableton Live, the music editing software that you and I both use. Um, Once it became a fluent tool and I didn't have to think about how to do what I was going to do, and then I created fluidity in my own life, my own channel, so I'm not creatively blocked. Then everything just happens rapidly. I can create a song or write a song in one sitting because at that point, it's not actually writing from the way we do writing of create a mental idea, do it very mentally and thoughtfully. It's like I've already prepared myself and something is ready to come through. So it's more of an allowing process when I prepare in a good way.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, intentional, focused, and yeah, once that channel's open, then you get to receive and allow for all the possibilities in this multidimensional experience that we have. And I see beautiful trees behind you. I'm sure when you're
Mm,
in nature, that's inspiring as a
yeah.
creative process. Mhm.
Nature, you know, plant medicines can help the process too, but a lot of it is intense emotional processes that I've experienced in my life that just like my first song I was telling you about and just like Better
Mhm.
that we just worked on, it
Yeah.
comes from the underworld of the depths of emotion that I have willingness and access to feel. So it's I've gone on a really deep psychedelic journey of life of really choosing to feel things and then
Mhm.
creating music is my way to understand those feelings and also get to the other side of them.
Mhm. Well, speaking of our song, I'll share this
Mhm.
artwork that you just whipped up and looks amazing, and love the energy behind it. And I just, for me, the moment this song was just out in the world live, just, within 48 hours or less, right? It
Yep.
just feels so good to have it launched. And, that's the thing with for there's different processes in music, right? And as you said, your parents are performers, and this day and age, it's not just you perform and then only people that were there got to receive it. There's so many streaming platforms, and then it's embedded with social media, which where we're streaming on right now, this podcast. And there's so much possibility to find global connections. And I know that I'm sure you and
Mhm.
I geeked out on our Spotify for artists, and we get to see like how many countries are impacted by what we're creating. And yeah, and now it's out in the world for people to enjoy.
And
We
that's
have,
actually what got us to collaborate because
hmm
you realized that we have a lot of the same listeners, like the most similarities, and so
hmm
we decided to even start
absolutely.
connecting because of our shared,
hmm
web of connections that are tuning in, so I thought that was a really cool full circle
hmm
to this track as well.
Yeah, that's what's beautiful, right? The tribe has spoken when listeners and our audience are there both listening to you and to me. It just makes all the sense in the world that we deliver a beautiful piece of music that they can listen to both versions. So what I love, and I've been doing this more and more, is having a vocal as well as an instrumental version, because it's like a mini EP, and these actually will repeat and you're kind of in a flow. So it's almost like one solid song that
Mm,
keeps going continuously, and it's 4 minutes and 44 seconds. And then if people are out there that are speaking on stages or teaching yoga, meditation, breath work, and you're in a situation where you'd like to have the instrumental version, then we have that accessible. So you can add that to whatever playlist. And yeah, as you said, there's all these analytics that show us the way of like who are we connected with and who knows who. And I know that we have lots of common friends, and we were always like in each other's peripheral, I feel.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, let's just jump in
let's get in.
and let's get in there. Yeah, let's see what happens.
So
And
grateful. This song was so
mhm.
beautiful, and it's such a awesome way to get connected, and I feel like once we those of us who get to connect with music online before we even meet physically, it just, like, brings us closer into that quantum meeting
Mhm.
point.
Completely. Yeah,
Also,
that's a
that instrumental is great for, ecstatic dance DJs. I always, like, hope for instrumental
absolutely.
versions of things.
Uh-huh, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm doing an ecstatic dance tour June, July in the States and Canada, and it's so lovely, to add that as well, and it's really beautiful too because, ecstatic dance, you start in the valley, build up, go to the mountains, maybe a mini valley, go back to the mountain, come down in the end, a little sine wave. So, I feel like better could be like the crispy crust of someone's experience.
For
Well,
sure.
let's give everyone a quick sample, and this is "Better" by Claraty, and this is the DTO reimagined mix.
I wish you were here. Though it's better that you're not. Shameless, so clear. Show me everything I'm not. If this were my dying day, I'd wanna hold you as I fade away.
Oh,
Woohoo! I'm so happy it's out.
mhm. So delicious and nutritious.
Mhm.
All right. So, question 4 is how do people respond to your music?
Mm. I love this question, because I feel like I'm here to help people feel, which is the origin story of my own life with music. What I find at live shows and when I can actually hear reflections about people's experience of my music, I get a lot of tears and just a lot of heart moments. And I feel that I offer a space to cry and a space to safely feel things we don't normally create the space and time to feel. So either, just connection, feelings of sadness, joy, grief, bliss, connecting to others that we love, but that intimate heart feeling space is usually what's invoked.
I love that so much because and so question on that,
Mhm.
follow-up. It'll be my question, 4.5 question. So, speaking into creative process, intentions, as you shared, like in your journey of experiences, and is there sometimes surprises that happen of like, whoa, I didn't realize people are going to respond to this song in that way, or I didn't realize because you have over 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. You have some incredible offerings to the community globally. Are there some songs that you have where you're like, whoa, I was surprised that people responded so well. And then maybe there's other
Mm.
projects you put so much time and energy, then you're like, oh, that one hasn't like landed yet.
Oh my gosh, for sure. I'm sure you know all about that. It's like, um, I've poured a lot of time and energy into almost everything I do, but there's ones that you think you're like, "Oh, this for sure is gonna be the hit. I
Yeah.
know it because that's how I feel about this." And then it's still just like sitting there in the under 1,000
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
archives and like
Lingering.
it's like, okay. And then my top song, Rainbow, that just shot up as a really short, simple, sweet, sound healing track with, no complex beat. It was something I channeled through and made super simple, super easy. And that's just the one that the audience picked, and they're like, yep. And so I never expected that. And you just don't know what's going to happen the moment you release. It's like that track is its own soul.
Mm.
And I've started to learn to just not anticipate what's going to happen to it.
Yeah. No, I love that because it's a part of art. Like, why are you creating art? And, the Jedi response would be, I'm creating art because I'm creating art. End of story. Like, without attachment, it doesn't have to be because of this or that. And we're human beings. So, of course, at times we're like, and I feel like this one is something that really, hits hard and people are going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking
It's so wild, right?
the reason why I
How it
created
works.
that. I'm sorry, we're glitching out, interrupting you. The reason why I created Beauty Way, which is my alt,
Go ahead.
my am I coming through? Just slightly slow.
Mhm.
Okay. Reason why I created Beauty Way as my alt project is it's a sound healing project, and I'm feeling like with everything that we've all been through as a collective, our nervous systems are shot, and what's landing well is things people can have on in the background and good vibes that people can feel easy in their body with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I want to jump into, speaking how people respond to your music. In this day and age, if you're a musician out there listening, you totally understand what we're about to talk about, which is you're just not a musician. You're now social media manager. You're your own tour bookie, and then all these different pieces. And I really love this version of Better, so I want to share this with everyone.
Mhm.
And this is you. The gorgeous guitar, by the way. Wow. So here it
Thank
is.
you.
Here is Better.
I wish you were here. Though it's better that you're not. She moves so clear. Show me everything I'm not. If this were my dying day, I'd wanna hold you as I fade away.
Yes. So good.
Mm.
So grateful that people can find you on Instagram, Clarity Music, and love all that you
Thank
share, some of the
you.
behind the scenes. I've seen some of your looping, which is amazing. Looping,
Mm.
violin, vocals, super extraordinary. And I'd love for you to take a quick moment to talk about how you produce music in Ableton, which, as you mentioned earlier, it's a software to create your own music online. You're going to do a course, so maybe briefly speak into that, and then people, of course, can follow you on your website to learn more about the offering.
Yeah, I just have a gene of a person that loves to teach, and I love Ableton, and I started teaching it. It's my 6th course that I've run of total beginners through it, and there's just a special joy I have for helping other creators get really empowered to do it themselves and giving the tools. So I have been teaching small group courses for a while, but I'm finally releasing the um, digital version of the course that can be bought by anyone at any time. So it'll be much more widely accessible, and that'll be coming out in the next month. It's called The Art of Sound. So it's not only a beginner's course in Ableton Live, but also tips and tricks I have about creativity in general and living an optimized creative life where your channel's always open.
I love that so much. And as you teach, I'm sure that there's this like pay it forward momentum that starts to happen where people inspire you, you inspire them, and you get to just be in this beautiful swirl of a community that gets to
Oh,
learn
yeah.
and so many aha moments, right? Just like, whoa, I didn't know I could create this on my own. And I love that about
Yeah.
teaching.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So
best
great.
way to
So as you
contact
can
me for
see, the
that is
website there.
just
Mhm.
website and or email, which is also through website. So that's great.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, let's complete with our last question, which is any closing words, advice, or wisdom in this moment?
I would say tailgating off of that, in today's day and age, we are playing all of the roles. And from, social media manager to producer to recording engineer to performer. And if you're a creator and you're bossing out and you're handling all of these things and your brain gets really in detail mode and the amount of plays and, all of these statistics and things, just remembering to give yourself time to come back to the art for art's sake, like turn off the phone one day a week, do a project that has nothing to do with being a release, and try to come back to that source inner child with a crayon box self and create the art that your inner artist wants to create. And even if it comes out as something that ends up being a hit later, I think that's because it comes from a heart and soul place, and that's why we feel it, and that's why people connect with it. So I would just say, make art about the art and keep doing it.
Yes, yes, and yes. So many yeses there. Yeah, yeah. Whenever life gives us breakdowns and we get to have a breakthrough, and as you said, just keep on moving forward, keep making it happen. And yeah, it's a process to have your emotions and your feelings go in. And I love what you said too. Like, prior to this podcast, I was basking in a gorgeous, beautiful waterfall in Costa Rica. So I got to like cleanse and clear and then ground back in. And so I love that part of finding that, you can get, I always like the advice too, like go in spurts. Like sometimes we're like, but I got to do this thing and I got to focus it all weekend. It's like, okay, we'll do like a half-hour spurt, then give it a rest, maybe do an hour spurt, and just go back and forth. So then you have, this day and age with music, the the thing is you're like staring at technology all the time. So
yeah.
like, even if you just twirl, be like, okay, I'm going to just somatic, whatever you want to do. I'm grateful because above me is our yoga studio where I can just go and dance it out and have my own little mini ecstatic dance. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I have a little dog that if I stare at the screen too long, he comes up and is like, hey,
it's like, yeah,
come
silly
on.
human. I love that. Super intuitive.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your energy, your presence, your beauty, your art, and really honoring your lineage as well, of like keeping that gift and that ripple effect of music. And as we know, when we're here in physical form or not, our music can just continue to be out in the world. And I feel like there's a presence to you that totally gets that. And that's why you're really serving the community in the ways you are and honoring yourself for what is here to be shared. And yeah, and the ceremonies you've been in, I know that that's, shaken and stirred some good things up in you and your soul. So I love your story. So thanks for sharing that. And I will let everyone know right down below, Better by Claraty, the DTO Reimagined Mix, streaming on all platforms, all places and spaces. Creatively share however you want. If you do an Instagram reel, add it. You can tag us and let us know how you feel about Better. And hopefully you do feel better. All right.
Thank you so much for your bright energy, this collaboration, and this talk today. It's been such a joy.
Equally felt. All right. Thank you. And we'll
All right.
close it up with Better.
I